The following announcement has been paid for by the Wrestling Epicenter.
Hey guys.
Hello, ladies. Remember me? Let me talk to you, dummies.
It's now time
It's Vader time. TikTok.
It's showtime!
for the longest running wrestling talk show in history.
We are huge. It's gonna be cool.
You're where it's at.
You're smart like me.
Tune in each and every week.
You better keep listening, or I'll come out of your computer
And turn it on for you.
or else I'm gonna kick your stinking teeth in.
We've been known by a few names.
The needs of the many far outweigh the needs of the few.
The Interactive Interview,
Interactive interview. Oh yeah.
Interactive interview.
The interactive interview.
Interactive interview. The interactive interview.
The Blaze,
Blaze 1260 AM.
The Blaze.
The Blaze.
Blaze. The Blaze rock.
Interactive Wrestling Radio,
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Interactive radio.
Interactive Radio.
Testify.
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
and a lot of other names.
Weekend Warriors of Wrestling. The Pile Driver. The Pile Driver.
3 Count Wrestling.
The Hour Slam.
But it's all one show, the Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter. The Wrestling Epicenter.
The Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter, dude.
The Wrestling Epicenter. Don't get off.
And your host from day one,
By ignorance or arrogance.
James Walsh.
Wake up, sleepyheads.
I could care less.
It all starts
Oh, tough guy.
Thank you very much.
Rush. Dumbed down.
Get out of my face. You win.
But I'm desperately out of time. So what you gonna do when Blaze Mania runs wild on you?
now.
Wake up, sleepyheads. It's party time! I might have to do that as my new intro, as a tip of the cap to the great movie Trick or Treat, starring Mark Skippy Price as a metalhead. When they released it, they had Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne on the poster because nobody wanted to see Mark Skippy Price at the height of family ties as a metalhead. He was Skippy Handelman, the next door neighbor. Anyway, that's my intro for the week. This week's guest is Ring of Honor new signee. He's been there for a little over a year now, but he just signed a multi-year extension. He is PJ Black, formerly Justin Gabriel from the WWE. You remember him as part of the Worldwide Underground, in Lucha Underground as well. He's done some great things so far in Ring of Honor, but I think, based on what we talk about in the interview that's about to follow, the best is yet to come. So I want to thank Ring of Honor for setting up this interview, and I hope you guys enjoy PJ Black here on the Wrestling Epicenter for round number 3.
This is Ring of Honor's Ian Riccaboni, and you are in the Wrestling Epicenter.
Like what you're hearing? Follow us on social media. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/Wrestling Epicenter, or just search Wrestling Epicenter in the search box on Facebook. On Twitter at WEpicenter. On YouTube at IWR Interactive. And of course, check us out at WrestlingEpicenter.com, your hub and home of all things professional wrestling interviews. We're the originals, and we love what we do.
Welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio right here on the Wrestling Epicenter. Joining us on the Newsmaker line for the third time is a guy we always love to have on the show, and he just recently had some news happen to him, of course. I'm talking about PJ Black. Mr. Darewolf, are you with me?
I am. Thank you guys for having me yet again. Always a fun time talking wrestling.
Absolutely. The last time we had you on, I was bugging you. Poor old Adriana over at Lucha Underground handed you the phone while we were at Comic-Con, but here we are. We have a little bit more time today, so that'll be it'll be good to catch up a little bit.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. What a great Comic-Con that was.
All right, so the news that broke last week was that you had signed a multi-year extension with Ring of Honor Wrestling. That's a really big move, and you kind of follow suit with what Marty Scurll did. What made you decide that this was the time and the place to plant your feet and plant your home in Ring of Honor?
There was a few different deciding factors. I think for the first time in my life, I actually made a pro and cons list, and I had some other offers on the table, but ROH just gave me everything that I wanted, a really good deal with a really good schedule. And I also saw that guys like Marty and Flip and Bandito and Briscoes and all these big names re-signed. So I feel like it's going to be a big year for Ring of Honor.
Very good. And, of course, the big news a couple weeks ago was that Marty Scurll did sign and was given essentially the book, as they call it. Did that play a factor? And what do you think we can see from Ring of Honor different than what we've seen in your tenure there so far?
That didn't play a factor so much because I didn't know until after I signed it. I mean, there was always rumors, and I knew from talking to him from a while back that's what he really wanted, but I didn't know if he was going to get it. But I'm happy for him. I've known him since he was a very young student. I lived in England for a while. I know all those guys. I was there for Mark Haskins' first day of training. So I'm happy for him, and he's a very creative dude, and I'm hoping that he can translate the thoughts and ideas that he has in his head. So I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely. And your tenure thus far in Ring of Honor has been during kind of a transitional period for the company. They're the post-elite era, if you will. I guess, what do you think of the vibe of Ring of Honor, and how do you see it playing out in 2020?
I mean, it was tough. We lost a couple of names, and but we also gained a lot of names. So, and there's a lot of other wrestling companies on TV right now, and I feel like people are kind of, I wouldn't say sleeping on ROH, but like some of the shows this year have been really fantastic. Some people have really missed out on it. It just makes me feel like a fan again. So I'm happy. I think I definitely made the right decision. It's going to take a little while for us to rebuild things, but I think everything is already in place, and the fans are really going to win this year.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. Everywhere you go, you kind of reinvent yourself a little bit. And with Ring of Honor, you have a little bit of a different look than we saw in Lucha Underground, which was a different look than we saw in WWE, and so on and so forth. I guess I want to ask you, what made you decide to go with the gray hair look?
I've just been trying different things out, and I do like the sage, the wisdom character, the gray look, kind of like the Witcher. I was kind of going for that, for that look. And the look is going to change completely again come April, June. I'm not allowed to say too much, but it's going to be something completely new, some new and fresh. And you say that, and that's cool that you notice that, because I feel like for a wrestler, it's very important to evolve with the times. There's a very few guys who can get away with not evolving and just be over their whole lives, like a Rey Mysterio and a John Morrison and, guys like that. But for some of us, we have to evolve and adapt with the times, because wrestling evolves all the time. So I feel like as a character, as a performer, not only your promos, your movesets, everything needs to evolve with it.
Absolutely.
And I like doing it, and I like trying different things and see what works and what doesn't work. And so far, I've been getting some really good response from some of the stuff. And obviously, fans will always cling on to certain aspects of a character or an era, if you will. But eventually they all get on board, I feel like.
All right. So the first time we spoke, and I didn't really get a chance to ask you much about this the last time we spoke, but the first time we spoke was literally the weekend you returned from South Africa after the horrible accident that sidelined you for a little while. I got to be honest with you, and please tell me if I offend you with this question, but I remember you saying that you had lost at least a digit during that horrible base jump. And I've got to be honest with you, the first little while after you started wrestling again, I just kept looking at your hands to try to figure out which one it was. I guess, how are you doing with that now? And did you lose a digit, and did you get it put back on? And what am I missing here?
First of all, no, you can never offend me, no matter how hard you try. They did put the finger back on, and yeah, it was only the tip of the finger, the ring finger on my right hand. You weren't even able to notice it right now. You can see some crazy scars there, and the nail finally grew back after 2 years. The lady doctor who put it together said, I mean, I begged her to try because she said 99% of the time it wouldn't even like stick back or like, you know, be possible to save it, I guess. But somehow she made it work. And yeah, I had a good team of doctors and I did rehab for about 8 months. And but now I can use the hand fully again. And yeah, if you don't know the story, no one will be able to tell, except for the funny scars I have there. That's why I wear the gloves.
Yeah, I was watching. I thought at first, oh, maybe there's a prosthetic in the glove, and then I was like, he's using that too well. It's not like a Kerry Von Erich thing. This is definitely his hand. So,
yeah, I'm very lucky, very lucky that she could put it back. And there's a steel pin in there, by the way. It's
oh, wow.
Yeah, but it's somehow it bends. It can curve. I can pick up weights, and you know I can wrestle. So that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. Are you still taking those kind of crazy risks?
Yes, but I'm more calculated. I feel like the older I get, the more I realize what I'm capable of and not capable of doing. You know, just more calculated risks, if you will.
All right. So in recent weeks, and maybe this is going to continue, maybe it isn't, but you seem to have latched onto a tag team partner in Brian Johnson, not the lead singer of AC/DC, by the way, but a different Brian Johnson. How did you guys end up paired up as a team, and might we see that continue in Ring of Honor?
Oh, yeah, you're going to see that for a little while. I don't know if you've been following some of the storylines, but Josh Woods and Silas, Silas took Josh under his wing as a mentor, as a student, Silas being the mentor. And he's been doing a fantastic job at it. And I thought to myself, why don't I do something like that? So I kind of went around. I was looking for talent. I went to the dojo. I went to the MCW shows where they have the Future of Honor events. And I saw this guy, and he definitely has some anger management issues. And, you know, that's my forte. I think I can help him. I think he has a fantastic future. He looks great. He works great. He's a great character, great personality. He just needs some changes, some help, you know. And I've been doing this for 25 years, so I feel like I can definitely help some of the new younger talent out these days.
Awesome. I hate to keep going back to when we spoke last, but when we spoke last, or the first time, wrestling was in such a different place, and now we've kind of already talked about it a little bit, but wrestling is just so hot right now. Ring of Honor is now on Fox Sports at night, Fox Sports local affiliates. You got AEW on TNT. WWE is still the king. What is your thoughts on wrestling in 2020, and did you see this as a potential possibility that wrestling would be this popular in 2020?
I mean, I kind of foreseen it a little while ago. I didn't think it was going to be where we are right now. I didn't know about AEW and all that stuff. But you know what? Now that we have guys in Hollywood like The Rock and Batista and even John Cena, you know, I feel like it was always just a matter of time. Like, also, especially, I feel like the over-the-top characters are coming back. I feel like the reality era is totally gone. And why the over-the-top characters work is because of the films like Marvel and DC. You know, people want to see the superhero characters, the over-the-top characters. I knew it was going to get to this, but I didn't know to what extent. And I'm very happy. You know, it's great for all wrestlers, and it's even better for the fans.
Awesome. And you mentioned over-the-top characters. How much of a role do you think Lucha Underground played in that?
I think a massive part for sure, but the biggest part would be The Rock and John Cena and those guys breaking into Hollywood, and definitely the Marvel films. You know, in a weird way, it did affect wrestling.
Absolutely. You've kind of just covered my question here, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Vampiro did an interview yesterday, and he was asked if Lucha Underground is dead, and his response was, well, if it isn't, who's going to work there? Because everybody's gone different places. What is your thoughts on the future of Lucha Underground, and do you think it is time for people to bury the company?
Yeah, I feel like it's a done deal, you know, because that's a good valid point. If they do start up, there'll be no talent. I mean, but it's easy to get talent, and they can definitely put in some different characters. To be honest, I don't see it coming back. I mean, I would like to, even if it was just for one season, so we can wrap up some of the storylines. I think MGM owns the rights now, and they're fighting with El Rey, and that's why it's never going to happen. which is really sad. You know, it was a fun show. But I did put in my contract that if they ever do one more season, I'll go back. You know, Ring of Honor was very lenient with things like that, so I'll go back and just do one more season. But I doubt that it's ever going to happen.
Very cool. Some of the best matches we've seen you have in Ring of Honor involved matches with a guy who's not under Ring of Honor contract, and that's Nick Aldis when you challenged for the NWA World Heavyweight title. How do you like the fact that Ring of Honor and the NWA have rekindled their relationship and are working together again?
I love it. I'm really enjoying the NWA product as of late. I mean, I'm a big fan of like nostalgic, like 80s wrestling or old school. Like I'm one of those guys who studies the history. You know, I go back and watch 20s wrestling, 30s wrestling, some of the oldest stuff that I can get my hands on. You know, Dr. Tom was one of the guys that taught me this. He always used to say, what's old is new and what's new is old. And if you go back, all these storylines and characters, everything is just kind of evolved or regenerated in a way. And, you know, it's very hard these days to come up with something completely unique. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of it, and NWA is bringing out that 80s feel, that nostalgic era of wrestling for me personally. So I love it. So I think it's fantastic that we're working together.
Awesome. And I'll kind of leave you with this last question, which is kind of similar to our first question, which is simply, what are your goals in 2020 for your run in Ring of Honor?
Since I signed a multi-year deal, I really want to make a huge impact at Ring of Honor. You know, I'm one of the few guys who have won titles in every single company that I've been to. So I can definitely foresee that in my future, and, you know, just travel and help ROH grow as a brand. But I also have some really, really exciting stuff for PJ Black this year too, which, you know, now that I have a multi-year deal, you know, like the higher-ups won't be so... what's the word I'm looking for? So against me trying new things out.
All right. So you feel like you have a little bit more of a little more freedom?
Yes, exactly. And creative freedom was one of the top things on my list when I decided where I was going to end up.
Well, man, I got to tell you, Ring of Honor's kind of turned some people's heads with those recent signings with yourself and Marty Scurll. And I think a lot of people, like you said, were sleeping on the company. And, you know, as a guy who never stopped watching, I've been watching, you know, from the beginning till now, and you guys are definitely headed back in the right direction. So I'm looking forward to see what 2020 and beyond brings for Ring of Honor.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, if you look at the roster, like, we have legit one of the best rosters out there right now, and I'm not even biased because I'm on the roster, but I was looking at the roster and I was like, man, I can have quality matches with every single one of these guys, and I'm really excited for Ring of Honor's future.
Awesome, man. Well, I thank you again for taking the time to do this with me, and I'll let you get to your next one. I know you're probably doing a lot of media to celebrate the new signing.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, it's part of the job, and I do enjoy it. Anytime I can talk wrestling to the fans or media or other wrestlers, I'm very, very happy about that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for doing this, and I'll let you know on Twitter. I'll send you a tweet about this when I get it up online.
Yeah, please do, and I'll retweet and any of it, so just tag me in them.
You got it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll let you go.
You're very welcome. Have a nice day.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.